Rajputs of the Hindu Shahi dynasty of Kabul, Zabul, and Kandahar held their posts and defeated the most indestructible force in the world, Islamic Caliphate, for 2 centuries. Persia fell in 22 years, Egypt in 10 years, but the Hindu Shahi, they fought for over 2 centuries. The Hindu Shahi dynasty. First of all, you know, when the Hindu Shahi dynasty ruled over Gandhar for about, I don't know, for about 2 centuries, let's say, okay, roughly 2 centuries. At that time, they were not called Rajputs. This term Rajput emerged in about 500-600 years ago. But the people who are retrospectively called Rajputs, they did not call themselves Rajputs. So first of all, we have to understand that this is a newer term. It did not exist. The term Rajput did not exist at the time of the Hindu Shahi dynasty and the dynasties of the first millennium AD. But today, they are classified as Rajputs. First of all, we're not quite sure if what are the origins of the Hindu Shahi dynasty. So before the Hindu Shahi dynasty, okay, we had the Turk Shahis who ruled in Gandhar, which is northern western Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. That overall region is called Gandhar. The Turk Shahis were the descendants of the Shweta Hunas, the Huns. The Huns who tried their best to conquer India during the Gupta Empire and who failed. They were driven off repeatedly by our great emperor Skandagupta. But after Skandagupta's death, the Huns prevailed and they swept into India and they eventually assimilated into the Indian population. They became Indians. Their descendants live all among us. So they established, the Huns, they established a dynasty in Gandhar, which came to be known as the Turk Shahis. See, the Turks are descendants of the Huns. So this Hunnic descended dynasty in Gandhar came to be known as the Turk Shahis because the Huns Turks are the same thing. And the Turk Shahis, they ruled from the 7th century AD to the 9th century AD, roughly 150 to 100 years. They adopted Hinduism and Buddhism. And the Turk Shahis, descendants of Huns who were by blood Turkic, they became Hindus and Buddhists. And for 1.5 or 2 centuries, they fought the Abbasid Caliphate. To safeguard India, they fought the Abbasid Caliphate for nearly 2 centuries. Okay? The Turks fought for India. They fought to safeguard India from the Abbasid Caliphate. Eventually, in the 9th century AD, somewhere around that time, the Turk Shahis finally were defeated. Their last king was forced to convert to Islam. And one of his ministers, possibly a Brahmin, possibly a Kshatriya, we don't know quite, he took over the leadership and he established a new dynasty which came to be known as the Hindu Shahi dynasty. The Hindu Shahis were Shaivites. They moved on from the Gandhara script and they started using the Sharda script. Okay? And they ruled from the 9th century AD to the 11th century AD. The Turk Shahis fought the Abbasid Caliphate and they spent 2 centuries roughly defending India from the Abbasids. They eventually had to convert to Islam. They were defeated. The Hindu Shahis, they fought not the Abbasid Caliphate, they fought the Ghaznavi Empire. Okay? So they did that for a couple of centuries. What was the Ghaznavi Empire? It was based out of Ghazni. Eventually, it was based out of Ghazni in Afghanistan, in Gandhar. And the Ghaznavids were Turkic in nature, by ethnicity. They were Turkic, they were of Mamluk descent. What does it mean, Mamluk? It means they were freed slaves. They were slave soldiers who eventually became rulers. Right? So that was the Ghaznavi Empire. And the Hindu Shahis, they fought the Ghaznavids for roughly 2 centuries. And you can call them Rajputs, you can call them whatever. There are different accounts, varying accounts. Some Turkic accounts say that the Hindu Shahis were of Brahmin origin. Some other accounts say that they were of Kshatriya origin. It doesn't matter. They fought. It makes them warriors, and you could call them Rajputs. So yeah, they defended India for 2 centuries from the Ghaznavids, and eventually you had they also were defeated, right? That, as we know. So you have these centuries of resistance to Arabic and Turkic invasions of India by the Turk Shahis, by the Hindu Shahis, by various Rajput kingdoms in the north and west of India that your history textbooks and your teachers won't teach you about. And that's a travesty. We should know about these things. So I'm glad this question has been asked. I appreciate that very much.